the recorder going? Wave your hand, throw a shoe at me, something, let me know. Alrighty, so we're here for Java, right? Nobody's here for, you know, English composition. So what are we going to do? We're going to learn the Java programming language. I bet that if you're in here, you've had a programming language before. You may have had C++, you may have had Python. I would expect that you've had one of those too. If you're walking in fresh, never having had, I don't remember signing off, you know, on anybody to skip the prereqs, but it's possible that you have. But on the other hand, I'm betting that you'll be able to catch up. Yes, ma'am?
I skipped the prereqs, but I've taken countless Java courses.
Right. You have the knowledge ready.
Okay.
Well, you'll probably be able to teach this. I hope to keep this interesting enough for you, because yeah, when people come in after, you know, having taken it, you know, through high school and junior high and stuff like that, then y'all usually have a very good background on it.
Professor Thompson. It's not showing up in this class. Is not showing up in my dashboard.
That would be
yeah,
bad.
I've had that problem all day.
Oh no. Then your professor did something very stupid. How about that? I'm not ashamed to admit it when I've done something very stupid. Where's that publish button? Course is unpublished. I really would like for you to publish yourself. What do you know? I apologize, gang.
Fine.
It's all right. I didn't expect anybody to have their textbooks or anything like that before today's class anyway, so you're not behind. Do not fret. But I feel silly about that. All right, so I'm going to open up the syllabus. We're going to talk about the syllabus today. If you've ever had another one of my courses, you're going to get kind of bored because my course policies are very similar from class to class. So if you just want to get up and walk out, Lindy, I don't blame you. No, I'm kidding. She's had like 4 of my courses. So what are we here for? We're here for Java. Introductory course in developing both procedural and object-oriented logic. If you took Python, you learned pretty much procedural programming. Procedural programming is your program does this step, it does this step, it does this step, and then it's done. And towards the end of the semester, you might have done a little bit of object-oriented programming, but not much. Java is object-oriented from the get-go, which can be a slightly different way of looking at things. Hopefully it'll just be seamless for you though. Unlike C++, where it seems completely different because you learn procedural and then halfway through the class you have to learn something else. So we're going to learn the Java programming language using several development tools and techniques, including flowcharts. We're not going to learn flowcharts. And pseudocode, I need to edit this. We're not going to learn pseudocode. That's all fundamentals. The course will present the... I copied and pasted the wrong thing. Anyways, what are we going to learn how to do? We're going to learn what variables are, what kind of different data types there are. We're going to learn about decisions, loops, functions, classes, how to write classes. A class is a collection of data with functions that are attached to it. So, I'm Professor Jeff Thompson. You can call me Professor Thompson. You can call me Jeff. I'm not real, picky. Just don't call me bad names. It'll hurt my feelings. I'm no longer an adjunct, and I haven't been for 8 years. This is a very strange syllabus. I cannot believe I edited the old version of it. Alrighty. I work downstairs. My office is in room 102, which is almost at the very end of the hallway. My office hours are posted there, but I will also post them in Canvas for you to spot. And if you ever want to make sure whether I'm here or not, I just recommend that you text me and ask, and I will usually respond very quickly. Speaking of which, my text number right there, that's my personal phone number, not my office phone number. I strongly encourage you to make use of this number. Specifically, preferably by texting, just because if you're texting me, if you get stuck on a programming problem, you can take a picture of your code, text it to me. Usually within seconds I can spot what's wrong with it and give you a really good clue, right? You know, I could annotate it, I could circle the part that's wrong, I could type in a couple of lines of code that would help fix the problem. And if we bounce messages back and forth like that, you can usually get your program working without making an office visit, right? You can do it at home, get it done in a couple minutes. But if you want to make an office appointment, that's totally fine. Or if you look at my office hours and you see that I'm supposed to be there, then go ahead and come in. But it's a good idea, right, just to send a message. What if I was sick that day or coming in an hour late or something like that? So what I would ask for you to do is, if you do not mind, if you're so inclined, grab your phone and send me a text putting your name and then the class number, 1613, right? Tony Stark, space, CIT1613. Now, I actually had somebody send me Tony Stark in the last class, but that's because they knew that I knew their number. Also, of course, have an email address, or you can send messages to me inside Canvas. If you send a message to me inside Canvas, it goes to my email box anyways. So, hopefully we know what room we're in and what time. Looks like all 6 of us do. We're here. Hybrid, meaning that there's an online component of the class. Really all that means is that we use Canvas, right? I'm going to post homework assignments on Canvas, and you're going to upload your answers to Canvas, and you're going to take your quizzes, and your exams on Canvas. That's the extent of being online. But I do record all the videos, and I upload them, onto a YouTube playlist. So if you ever miss a day, you can just go and watch that. You do need a computer to do the assignments. I wouldn't want to take a programming course just using my phone. There's a computer lab right across the hall, so if your computer breaks and you need to, get some homework done in, just plan on spending, some time before or after class going over there and working in the computer lab. You're going to want to install the Java programming environment on your laptop or your desktop computer. You can get away with not doing that if you use an online editor. Like if I type in online Java compiler, I'll probably be able to find something where I could write some Java code. But the problem with doing it this way, rather than installing the Java software on your personal computer, is that it's not saved, right? You close the window, you lose your program. You have to do some kind of juggling act where you copy and paste this, into a text file on your desktop so that you can submit that or whatever. It's a lot better if you actually have the development tools, especially when we get to the point where we're writing what are known as graphical user interfaces, which just flat out would not work on an online tool like this. So there will be instructions, I believe there already are, for installing Java on your machine. And maybe, installing Java going to make my machine less reliable or more prone to security flaws? No, we are using the Java Development Toolkit, which is entirely contained on your machine. It doesn't give web programs any additional capacity unless you specifically go in and configure your machine to allow Java things to run. And nowadays, I don't think there are anything known as Java applets anymore. I think that all the browsers have disabled them. So it's not making your machine more insecure to install Java on your machine. Do not fret about that. So, textbook. Introduction to Programming with Java. There's a Kindle version of it, or some other kind of online version if you want that. I like that version because it's easy to do a search, right? If you like paper, so much the better. I like Kindles, but on the other hand, I like holding a big book in my hands.
Question really quick. Is this the correct textbook?
That's correct. You got it.
Okay.
Yeah. Hold it up so everybody can see it. I didn't put a picture of it in here. Yep, it's the big thick picture with the landscape on it. Yeah, I like that. Unfortunately, it's slightly pricey. If the bookstore offers to let you rent it, that's totally fine. Just be warned that if you rent a textbook from them and you don't give it back to them at the end of the semester, they charge you more for it than if you just flat out bought it outright, right? So if you're going to take advanced Java afterwards next semester, you'll want to keep the book as well. This is the same textbook. So we use Canvas.Rose as our learning management system. That's kind of a new thing. Campus switched to it over the course of the last year. So a lot of us are D2L experts who are just learning Canvas. Hopefully I learn it well enough to be, an experienced user of it. Course objectives: understanding fundamental concepts and general principles of programming, loops, decisions, arrays, console, and file input and output. Also, object-oriented, abstract data types, such as linked lists, array lists, and stacks. We're going to use the Java programming language and libraries. We're going to use NetBeans to develop software. Now, other professors do not teach using NetBeans. What is NetBeans? It's a development environment, what's known as an IDE. When you run it, you get this big fancy window where you can pop open new windows and you can run your program and switch between tabs and stuff like that. You can also write a Java program just using a plain old text editor if it is configured appropriately. For example, there's one called TextPad. I could go ahead and make a brand new Java file. Don't bother doing this. This is just to show you that it's possible. You can't even read it anyways because I haven't made the font big. Public static void, whatever, string, args. I'm not doing this to impress you. This is just to show that what a program is, a program source file, it's just a file that you could open up. You could open this file in Word or in Notepad or anything like that. It's just that this text editor in particular has been configured in such a way that it can compile and run Java. Yeah, didn't do anything because my program doesn't do anything. I didn't tell it to do anything. I just put in a framework and then didn't actually have it put a print statement in there. I would add a print statement there if I cared. But instead, and this is how some professors do it, kind of roll up your sleeve and do everything like that. Instead, we're going to use NetBeans. Now, unfortunately, the version that you install at home is going to look a little bit different than this one, but not much. NetBeans has been made an open source thing, and so it went to the Apache Foundation. So when you download it, it's going to be a different version of it. It's going to look a little bit different, but it's not going to be hard to figure out, and I'll make a video showing creating a program using that specific version of it. There's hardly any differences we're talking about. But heck, why don't we all do this? This is more interesting than a syllabus. Go down here, and where it says type here to search, just type in NetBeans. And if you're using your laptop, don't sweat it. You don't have to quickly scamper over and log into the computer to get this to work. And then run the thing that says NetBeans IDE, which stands for Integrated Development Environment. Integrated Development Environment means that you enter your source code and that it compiles it and runs it and has a built-in debugger. That's what IDE stands for. Okay, so when you do that, it's going to pop open this window. The window may not look exactly the same. Maybe it defaults to some different page on yours than mine. I don't know. What's important is that we are going to make a project. Each program we write is going to be in a different project. So once NetBeans comes up, is that for everybody? I know it can be really slow to log in the first time on these computers. It takes 5 minutes for it to set things up. New project. We're always pretty much going to choose Java application. And here's the mistake that I always make, even though I've been using this software for 13 years, which is to go ahead and type a file name there. Nah, you do the file name later. So you choose Java application, you click next, and now we give it a project name. Well, this is our first lecture, so we're going to call it LectureA. Why A? Why not 1? Well, I enumerate my lectures by letters, and I enumerate the homework by numbers. So you'll have homework assignments 1, 2, and 3, but you'll have lectures A, B, and C. And so if we're talking about, file, number 4, I know that that means homework. Whereas if we're talking about file C, I know that it was a lecture. See this thing here where it says main class? Go ahead and click that. And then click finish. All right, and it comes up with all this already filled in. If you remember, when I was using TextPad, I had to type all that in off the top of my head. It's kind of nice that it all got filled in for me. It saved me a bit of time. Let me go ahead and change the font size. If you go into options, you can change the appearance of it. If you want to try to choose some different way of making it look, fonts and colors and change things like that, you can. All I'm going to do is to change the font size. Make it easier for y'all to read up here. I did not mean to italicize everything. Did I click the italics thing? Yes, I did. My mistake. I believe there's a place with different themes. So like if you like a dark programming environment with, you know, everything on a black background, you might be able to find that through the options. All right, so here we go. What is all this stuff? Well, we're not going to talk about what all this is yet. But there is up here what's known as a comment block. It's a pretty stupid one. To change this license header, blah, 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 you can just delete that. You don't need that. And then there's this package statement. I would actually prefer it if you delete that statement, but once you do that, it's going to give you an error that you'll have to correct. But it's an easy correction. Let's just do all that together. Take that line. By the way, I love using the keyboard. To highlight an entire line, you just put your cursor in front, the beginning of the line, hold the shift key down and the down arrow, and it highlights that entire line. And you can just hit backspace or something and it's gone. Notice it put a little red mark there though. What package is it creates a subdirectory for it. You know what a subdirectory is, a folder and stuff like that. But we took the package statement out, meaning it's not supposed to be in that subdirectory. So we're going to click on that little red error message and do move class to correct folder. That makes it go away. And what did it do? It took our file out of the subdirectory. You don't have to do that. The only reason why it's advantageous for me if you do that is it saves me 20 or 30 seconds when I'm grading it. You don't want to do that, that's fine. The deal is though, is with that package statement, if you copy that code and you pasted it into TextPad, it would no longer compile. It stops it from compiling. If you copied and pasted that code into, you know, an online editor, like I showed you, you know, a couple minutes ago, it would not compile. Take that word package out and it's kind of more universal, ready to be used inside any editor. All right, everything we write goes in a class. Unlike Python, where you can just slap the code down willy-nilly, right? And then all the code we write goes inside, we call them functions in our earlier languages. We're going to start calling them methods. But a method is just a function that's attached to a class. And yeah, there's a lot of gobbledygook jargon words that we don't need to know yet. But we're going to put our text right here where it kindly gives us the hint to do code application logic here. Now, if you use C++, printing to the screen was as easy as doing this. No. When you use Python, it was as easy as doing that. No. Instead, we're going to type in something long, and I apologize that it's long. But system, with a capital S, dot. And then notice it pops up all this help. These are all the things that are part of the system object, system library. OUT, dot. PRINTLN, parentheses. So the only cap here is that first S. And then notice it put a closed parentheses and a semicolon. If you've only done Python, then you're not used to the idea that all your program statements are going to end in a semicolon. Now that's not strictly true. Not every single thing is going to end in a semicolon, but you're going to learn pretty quick which ones do and which ones don't. Everything between the closing and the opening curly braces, for the most part, is going to. So between those parentheses, let's put double quotes. Unlike Python, you can't use single quotes. They mean something different. And we're going to put a message here. Hi there. End quote. Like that. The C programmers may have been putting system, you know, pause as the next line. You don't got to do that in this language. It's going to pause it for us anyways. And so when we run it, it says hi there. There, we've written our first program. We are programmers. We can go make $1 million. Well, we'll learn a little bit more before we get out of here. So this is a method that the developers of the Java language provided. This is the method that we created. So we get to customize the behavior of Java by adding our own methods. What if we wanted to ask the user for their name? Well, with Python, it was super easy, right? We just did name equals input. Well, it's a drag, but it's more complicated in Java, but you get used to it pretty quickly. We need what's known as the scanner in order to get input. If you did C++, you may remember that we always had to do # include, you know, in order to get something. You don't do # include, instead you do import. What? Where do those O's come from? Instead, above the words public, you do import space scanner with a capital S. Man, a keyboard sensitive. Semicolon. And that's wrong. I bet you remember. What is it? Do you remember what to type here? java.util.scanner. Semicolon.
Yeah, it's been a
Like
while
that.
since I
And that still didn't work. I hadn't actually planned on us doing this right now. So scanner, import. Oh, it's lowercase j. No wonder. All right. See, I should have had that as a note in front of me. Make sure I don't make the mistake. Okay, so it says import java.util.S scanner. Again, the S is the only thing capitalized. We see an odd pattern here. Do we always capitalize the S? Nah, it's just coincidence. Okay, so if we want to ask the user for their name, we need a variable to contain the name. Oh, here we're going to have another capital S. Very strange that all the S's so far we've used here have been caps. String with a capital S. You C++ programmers use strings, but you did not capitalize the S. Sorry that you got to learn a new thing. String space name, semicolon. Where did I put that? I'm putting it above my system.out.println. And by the way, I'm saying the word println. You can see that it's println. I need to be more specific, especially at the beginning. More careful to only say the letters that are actually supposed to be on the screen, right? But, you know, println stands for println. String space name. We need to let the user know that they need to type something in. So we need another print statement. We could just copy and paste that one. That'd save us some time. But I'm going to go ahead and do the whole shebang. So on the next line, system.out.print. I'm not going to use print line for a specific reason. I'm just going to use print, and I'll show you why in a minute. And inside the parentheses, I'm going to put quote, what is, I'm going to get a different keyboard, your name, question mark. I'm going to put a couple spaces there. You don't have to put the spaces before the end quote, but you can. I'll show you the difference between having them and leaving them out. All right. Is the program ready to go? Not really, right? Because although it prints what is your name, it doesn't let them type it in. But we can at least make sure we don't have any syntax errors. Once you get all this stuff typed in, by the way, is the font large enough for y'all in the back? Y'all can see this? Okay, good. Good. What you do is you do the hammer and broom, which does the clean and build. It compiles the project, makes it ready to run. If it compiles successfully, you'll see this thing down here that says build successful. If you have a syntax error, like you left off a semicolon or something like that, then when you hammer and broom it, it's going to tell us that something is wrong. Fortunately, we can click on the error, and it should take us to the line that's wrong. Well, thankfully, it's also lit up real big, right? But even if this file was closed, if I clicked on the error message, it would open the file and take me there. And then I'd have to look at it and stare at it until I figured out how to fix it. So when I hammer and broom it, it ought to say, build successful. That's like the big reason that doing this is better than using TextPad, because if you're using a text editor like TextPad to do your programs, then you don't have an error list that you can just click on and immediately jump to. I could be slightly wrong on that, but I hope that's not a lie. A lot of text editors don't. Okay, now I'm ready to run it, so I press the green button, and it asks me, what is your name? Hi there. Notice that it did not go to the next line. That's because I just used print rather than print ln. If I change that to print ln, it would say, what is your name? And then the next line would say, hi there. Well, we want to actually let them type in their name. So we're going to use that variable. NAME equals, well, I forgot a step. We have to create a scanner in order to let them type it in. And again, this is something you didn't have to do in Python or C++, but that's okay. It becomes second nature pretty quickly. Now, I'm not expecting you to remember all this immediately. You know, next time you come in, I'm not going to give you a quiz on what a scanner is versus a string. So on this line above system.out.print, I'm doing scanner space SC. Is that a magic name? No, I could have called it something else. I'm going to use SC a lot just because scanner starts with SC. All right, after we ask them for their name, I'm going to go to the line underneath that and type in name equals SC dot next, parentheses, in parentheses, semicolon, no caps. And I forgot something else. I really should have printed out my little cheat sheet before I came in here. I need to fix this scanner line. Don't delete it like I just did, but what I need to make it say is scanner SC equals space new capital S scanner parentheses, open parentheses, not close, system with a capital S, system dot in. And in a minute I'll wander around and make sure that everybody's got this going who's trying to get it to work. In parentheses, semicolon. All right, we're almost done with our magical program. We're going to make just one more little change to it. Our program is going to be 5 lines long, but instead of just saying hi there, I'm going to delete that entire line. You don't have to, but I'm going to make it real obvious what it needs to be. This 5th line is going to be system.out.println, parentheses, quote, hello, comma, space, end quote, plus name. I'm going to add some spaces just to make it easier to read. You absolutely do not have to do that. Here's some more comments that are kind of extraneous. There are some comments I would like for you to add to your program. Before we turn this in, I will demo them, but I'd like to get this to run. I want it to ask me my name and then read to me by name. So I'm going to hammer and broom it. You can't just click the green arrow and it'll build it on the spot anyways. And then I'm going to run it and it says, what is your name? Yeah, my name's Jeff. Hello, Jeff. All right, what is your name? Well, I'm the famous guitarist, The Edge. Hello, The. Well, okay. Yeah, not a perfect program. But it did run, it did let us type in some input, and it did display some output. It did like the classic things that a program is supposed to do, right? Be able to let you type something in and then produce some output. Now, usually there's going to be some stuff in the middle that performs some calculations or something, right? Okay. I'm going to pause the recording, go out and check to make sure y'all are doing okay. Programs, you're done with your homework and you want to upload it. Now from here on out, I'm not going to ever ask you to do a screenshot in class. Don't bother doing screenshots in class. I'm doing it this first day just because I do want you to do screenshots when you're doing your homework. Fortunately, screenshots are incredibly easy. You Mac users have to do it a slightly different way, but on the PC it's super easy. You just hit the print screen button, which is next to F12. If you're on your own laptop, you'll have to find your print screen button. Notice that it says sysRQ underneath that. Nobody knows what that key is. Let's press print screen. No, it does not send it to the printer, thankfully. You wouldn't want to accidentally hit print screen and have, your screen, go to the printer. We need to paste that into Word or into Paint. So I'm going to hit print screen, and then I'm going to go down here to type here to search. I'm going to type in Paint, just because it loads very quickly, faster than Word does. You may not have Word installed on your machine, but I'm sure you do have Paint. And then you're going to paste. Somewhere up here there's a paste command, clipboard paste, but I'm really fond of keyboard shortcuts. To paste, it's Control V as in vehicle. You may think Control P, but that actually prints. Control V or Command V for the Mac users, although your print screen method was different than that. So anyways, that makes a screenshot. Now if you care, you could, you know, crop it or whatever. I don't care. I don't care what it looks like. Basically all I want is to see a code snippet here and then a little bit of your program running there. Don't take 20 screenshots trying to show the entire progress of the program run. Right. This is enough. That would be enough for credit. So when you do your homework, I'm going to want you to upload that Java file that we just created and a screenshot. If you only give me the Java file, you're not going to get full credit for it. At a certain point, I may be, you know, as annoying as to just say you don't get any credit without the screenshot. But, you know, at the beginning, I'll just say, okay, you know, upload the screenshot and you know, and you'll get more credit for it. But y'all will remember that I want them. So even if the homework assignments do not say submit a screenshot, do so anyways, because I'm not going to modify all the homework assignments just to add, you know, put a screenshot. We need to save the document. So I'm going to do File, Save, or Save As, and I need some directory where to put my screenshot. So I'm just going to click on the desktop. I'm not going to even take any time doing this, but you know, at home you're going to make a folder for all this stuff, right? I'm not bothering to do so here, but I'm going to call it LectureA. Your homework instead is going to have a different file name, right? Homework 0, homework 1, whatever. And click Save. You can't save to this PC? Well, I should have clicked on desktop then. Now I can save. All right. Now I have a screenshot that I can upload. Except that there's no Dropbox. So towards the end of class, I'm going to make an assignment folder to where you can put that screenshot. I'm also going to want, especially for your homework files, the Java file itself. Well, where is that stored? We're going to have to find the NetBeans directory where all this stuff is stored. You can kind of get a good hint if you go over here under Projects. And I guess when we made the new project, it probably gave us a chance to pick our directory, where to store this stuff at. Oh boy, isn't that a long path? Well, anyways, it looks like it's under my name, Documents, NetBeans Projects. I'll probably be able to find that. If you cannot find where your file is, you click on the project, under the project list, you right click on it and you do Properties. And if you peek around in there, you'll find the path to it. So it's in my Documents directory in a subdirectory called NetBeans Projects. Why don't we go ahead and make the submission, the Dropbox for this so that we can just get them up. Then we'll finish talking about the lecture and we'll call it a day. I mean the syllabus. I don't know why that's there. I'll try to have the folders created before we come in for now so that we don't have to take that time. If you refresh your Canvas page and click on Assignments, you won't see that one that says exam 2. That's not supposed to be there anyways. There's one called LectureA. You're going to click on the LectureA folder. And if I was in student mode, I would see a submit button. I'm not. Let me change into student mode so that you see exactly what I see and vice versa. LectureA. Submit assignment. All right. Here's where you pick your files to upload. Let's find a screenshot and that .java file. The screenshot is wherever I saved it. I saved mine to the desktop or something like that. All right, now it's attached, but it's not sent. It's not saved. Just like when you're, writing an email and you attach a file, it's not actually sent until you click the send button. Don't click submit assignment yet, though. Let's add both files at the same time. So I'm going to click add another file, choose file, and I need to find that NetBeans folder. What looked like by default, mine was saved to the documents folder. So you ought to be able to click documents, NetBeans projects. Two things you can do here. One is you can just drill down until you find the .java file. And if you're not seeing file extensions on your computer at home, you're going to want to enable file extensions. You're going to have to figure out how to do that. It's different for every operating system. On this system, Windows 10, you come up to View, Options. What are file extensions? Those things like .txt or .doc or whatever. If you click, I think I'm looking in the wrong place. Change folder in search options. And then here's a tab that says View. For some reason, Windows comes by default with this thing clicked, Hide Extensions. Now, extensions are very useful, right? .txt means it's a text file. .docx means it's a Word doc. .xls means it's an Excel file. That's really useful information. We don't want to hide the extensions. Now, on these computers, it's probably already set correctly. But on your machine at home, you're probably going to want to go into your options, your folder options, and change that. And if you need help figuring out how to do that, just text me and I'll find you an example if you're not on the same operating system. Okay, click Apply, click OK, go back to Chrome so I can find those files. Now, so I went into Documents, I went into NetBeans Projects. Two things you can do. If you want to make absolutely sure that I'm getting the right file, you can just zip up the whole shebang and give me a zip file of the entire project. That's not a bad idea. The way you make a zip file, if you're using this and not Windows, not on a Mac, if you're using a Mac, you're going to want to make your zip file outside before you go in and start submitting it. But anyways, you right click and do Send to Compressed Zipped Folder. And that makes a zip file that you can choose and upload. If you did not want to make a zip file, which I encourage you to do, then you have to open the folder, you have to open the SRC, and then if you left it in its package, you have to go into that subfolder and find it. Now we removed the package statement, so it's sitting right there. At a later point, I'll talk about why I recommend getting the whole package. I don't care if you just give me the .java file or the zip, or if you even want to be super kind and give both. Well, I seem to have lost it. I don't see my zip file. Oh, that's because it's under here. There. Alrighty. So anyways, now I click Submit. My 3 files have been submitted, or 2, or however many you uploaded. And it's done. Now, if you were in class, I would like for you to upload something at the end of each class. These serve as your notes. On the other hand, maybe you're not feeling like typing that day. You don't have to type along with what we do here. If that's the case, if you're not going to type along with what we do here, I still want you at the end of class to come up and do a submission, but just put a comment here. Yo, that was a fun class. You know, whatever. I mean, really, you know, first day, first program, and, you know, syllabus. whatever comment you feel like it. You don't have to type along with these programs if you don't want to. Some people don't learn that way. A lot of people learn well, you know, in that fashion, but some people don't want to. It's okay, either way. Oh, what do you know? It's telling me I must attach one file. It's not supposed to be configured that way. In the future, I'll make sure that it's not mandatory. Okay. Did everybody get the file uploaded? I won't count off for not submitting things today, but after today, you get credit for just showing up and uploading something at the end of the class, right? It's actually a third of your grade is based on showing up and submitting something at the end of the class. You get grade just for putting your butt in a chair and sitting and typing along and submitting something. That's hopefully kind of cool. That's to encourage you to take your own notes and to follow along and to stay interested and not just look at your phone the whole time. Since we're talking about grades, we need to go back and talk about the syllabus. Oh, and by the way, when you go and you click your grades, it's going to show a grade for your attendance. No, I don't count off for attendance. So that number there, 90%, 100%, 50%, whatever, does not actually wind up in your average. So don't sweat it. If you can't show up for a day, that's okay. Just watch the video. So we're going to go back and talk about the syllabus now. Grading scales, pretty boring. 90%'s an A, 80%'s a B, and so on. If you're like right on the edge, I'm probably not going to be a jerk. If you're making an 89.5, I'll probably give you an A, right? Grades are broken down like this. I wasn't even planning on giving a final project for this class, but maybe I will. Normally what I do is I break it down into 30% for each, a third for each thing. Your daily lecture uploads, and then your homework, and then your exams. Each one of those counts for part of your grade, for a third of your grade. Now for advanced Java, I assign projects. I don't normally have final project listed in my syllabus for the intro to Java. I'll think about that. I'll let y'all know whether I want y'all to do a final project or not. So I'll correct the syllabus to go one way or the other. So important school dates, if you're going to drop the class, then you need to do so by, August 30th to get your full refund. Surely none of y'all are going to drop it. We get a full week off for Thanksgiving, unlike some prior years where you only got, a couple of days off for Thanksgiving. The price of getting that entire week off at Thanksgiving is that finals week goes an extra 2 days into December. Some people have finals, on a Monday or Tuesday of the week after when the other people took it. Java development software. You're going to need the Java software in order to do your homework. Where do you find that? You find that, well, I wish I could just put a copy of it so you could download it, but instead, what you're going to have to do is go into modules. Ooh, where's the rest of our content? Oh, all right. All right, you're going to go into modules. Pay no attention to the man behind the mirror. Installing Java software. Read me first. There's these 2 documents which go into incredible detail. I'll flat out admit I did not write these documents. I snipped them from another college. They go on and on and on. You'll want to read that if you get stuck, right? If you cannot get Java to work, then you're going to want to read those documents. It should be easy though. What you ought to be able to do is click on this where it says installing the software. And there's going to be 2 important links. And if you've already installed Java for some reason, you took the class and you dropped it, something like that, or you've done this Java stuff before, you might not have to do this first step. But the first step is to install what's known as the JDK, which stands for Java Development Kit. It comes with the version of Java that supports NetBeans. So you're going to want to install that. You click on it, it takes you to a download page. You get to pick whether you want the Windows version of it or the Linux version of the Mac. I would just choose an executable rather than a zip that I have to unzip and then run. On the Mac, I would choose the DMG file. Y'all Mac users know what a DMG file is, disk file. Once you download that and run the installer, you're ready to do the next step. And by the way, whenever you're viewing a document in the preview mode, I strongly recommend you go ahead and download it, especially if it's a PowerPoint. You don't want to preview the PowerPoint. It's just it so happens that this is a short document, so I'm leaving here. When you're ready to install the next piece, you click on the second link, NetBeans. And we're going to want to download the latest and the greatest. Obviously, you're not going to do it on these computers here. Which version do you want? Well, you want the Windows version or the DMG file for the Mac users, or the Linux version, depending on what you're running. Once you run that installer, you ought to be able to go to your search box and do NetBeans. And you might want to, pin it to your start, pin it to your taskbar, stuff like that to make it easy to find in the future. And it'll come up with the same window that we were just looking at. So that's actually going to be your first homework assignment, is to download and install Java and NetBeans. And just run NetBeans and take a picture of it. You don't even have to write a program in it. Just run NetBeans, take a picture, a screenshot, and upload it, and that, you'll get, get 100% on it. You'll be good to go. Or, I'm not going to install Java. I'm going to do all my work at school. Well, you're just going to write me a note and upload that instead, saying that you're not going to install Java. That way, I know your situation, having my expectations set appropriately, and later on, if you decide to install it, you can change your mind. I do recommend it, though. That'll be your first homework assignment. You do have an email account, which you can get to from gmail.com. I recommend you configure your phone or whatever to access your school email. Just a Gmail account. First name dash last name at raider.rose.edu. If you need help with accessing these resources, the last page of the syllabus has some hint. I'm not seeing the page. I thought I had attached something that gave you hints for, like if you can't get something to work, giving you the IT desk help number and stuff like that. That'll be on the syllabus, and I'll upload it as a separate document, so the next time you come in, it'll be there. Apparently, all of y'all can log into the campus computers and access Canvas, so you probably don't need that help. Okay. So submitting homework. I want your screenshot and I want your source code. There's a comment field. If your program's not working, give me a warning in the comment field. Don't just leave it as a surprise to me to find out, right? I'm actually more generous with points if you explain what's not working in your comment than if I have to find it out on my own what's not working. If you upload something and you put a comment there saying the program's not working, I'm going to grade it more quickly so that I can try to help you find out what's wrong with it. Now, if it's not working, text me, right? Send me a picture of your code and we can work on it. But, if it's getting close to the deadline and you want to get something turned in before, before midnight, you can go ahead and submit it and then correct it later. But do put a comment there saying it's not working. So grading policy. The program does have to run in order to get any credit. What does that mean? If I make a syntax error, if I get a build error because I left off a semicolon or misspelled something, the program's not going to run. And when I take a screenshot, all it's going to say is error, right? That's not worth any credit, or it's worth like 1% credit. 10% credit since I give 10 points per homework assignment, right? So, if that is the case, though, you can go back and revise it and resubmit a corrected version. If your program runs but doesn't produce the right output, right? Like it's supposed to calculate the interest rate accrued over 10 years and the interest is always $0 no matter what the user types in. It's not working. You're only going to get partial credit. But that's not a disaster. Like if I hired you to write a program, you would write a program, you'd give it to me, I'd run it, I'd find bugs in it, and I'd ask you to correct it, right? And I'd pay you once you got all the bugs fixed or something like that, right? Same thing, right? You fix your program and you resubmit it. So I'll grade it, and if you do not get 100%, I'll put an explanation of why. And then in my comments, I'll say, please revise and resubmit for more credit. And, you can usually raise your grade to an A on it unless it was incredibly late even for your first submission, right? That way, you know, there's no real reason not to get a really high programming score because I'm available to help you, right? And if your program doesn't work, if it doesn't do everything it's supposed to do, you get to revise it. Same is true for quizzes. After you take your quiz and it's graded, you can take it again. And you can take it again, and you can take it again until you get 100% on your quiz. So your quiz grade ought to be pretty high if you're motivated to take it 3 times. The reason I do that is I don't use the quizzes as a metric of what you've learned. I use them as a study tool for the exams, right? Some people ask for, you know, can I have an exam, a sample exam? No, but you have your quizzes, and you know, parts of the exam are just taken straight from the quizzes.
If you get 100% on a quiz, can you still go back at an exam time and retake it?
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
Or just look at what you've done.
Okay.
Right. I've always kind of wished that, you know, I've pondered that question, like maybe I should disable the quizzes during the exams, but since I said they're open notes, I let people into them. So programming assignments are due a week from when they're assigned, unless I otherwise specify, and you'll always have at least a week's notice. I'm never going to say, well, today's Tuesday, you better have such and such due by Thursday. That's not fair. You get a week, right? So if I give you a homework assignment today, which I do to install Java and NetBeans, it's going to be due like Monday midnight next week, right? And then I'll give you a day's grace period anyways, right? So if you need to come in and have a, you know, an office appointment to talk about it or something like that, you know, there's nothing wrong with being a day late. Just try to keep up. It's really important. Late assignment policies. Late penalties may be assigned to homework. Generally, I make it 10% a week, but that's not to encourage you. Well, I could still make a 90 even if it's a week late. Really try to keep up. But I know that life comes up. If you text me about why something is late, yeah, I had to go to Wisconsin to help my mother or something like that. Well, okay, yeah, I probably won't even take the 10% off. However, if it comes up to be a month late, if it's more than 4 weeks late, you're not going to get any credit for it. You really need to be caught up more than that, unless something serious is going on, right? You know, I'm going to be giving birth, you know, in a couple of weeks. I may not be doing homework for a while. Yeah, I'll understand, but you got to tell me about it. Lecture submissions, if I could spell, that would be nice. Lecture submissions do not suffer late penalties in the same way, right? If you miss Thursday and then you wait a week to watch the video, I'm not going to count off on it. But it still needs to be done within a month, right? The reason it needs to be done pretty quickly is because stuff builds on each other, right? Homework 2 requires you to have the knowledge from homework 1, and homework 3 requires you to have the knowledge from homework 2. And so if you're late on one thing, you're not going to be able to do the next thing. You're not going to have the next thing done, and it's going to be like dominoes piled against you. It's not going to work. So I do take attendance. However, like I said, it's not part of your grade. Student expectations. I do want you to have access to the internet and Java development tools. Please check Canvas. If I post a notice, how about going and reading it? Do attend class. Do watch the videos for missed lectures. Say you miss a class. You're going to want to watch the lecture because, like I said, you get credit for uploading something at the end of each lecture. So you're going to want to go to modules. You're going to find where the YouTube playlist, which is not created yet, so there's not going to be a link there, but you know, after tonight there will be, and you're going to watch the video. And at the end of the video, either upload the notes if you typed along, if you have 2 screens, or you can, you know, if you feel like typing along, you can do that, or you can fill out the lecture video form if you do not feel like typing in programming code, right? What's the lecture video form? It's just something that says, you know, tell me a couple of things you learned from it. Your name, what video did you watch? Did you look at the daily notes from the video? What did you learn from the video? Write 4 sentences, right? That way you don't just say, yeah, I watched the video when you didn't, right? That wouldn't be cool. You wouldn't learn anything that way. And then upload that and you get full credit, you know, for having attended the lecture. Feel free to bring your laptop. If you configure your laptop with Java, it's absolutely totally cool to bring it into class. Don't put anything on your screen that's distracting, that's more impressive and exciting to watch than me, because that'll distract the people behind you, right? Basically, the only stuff that should be on your monitor is stuff that's related to academia. I don't care if you have your phones out and you're checking text messages and stuff like that, but you know, at least put it on silent, and if it's on vibrate, don't put it on your desk so that it's going zzz, zzz every 2 minutes, or else the people around you are going to get irate. You do need to check Canvas regularly. If I modify the syllabus, like I'm going to do about whether we have an end of semester project or not, I will upload it, I will post a notice of it, and I'll lecture about it in class. So, you know, at that point, it's your responsibility to understand the change, and if you have any questions about it, ask me. I will grade things within a week of submission. If there are errors, you'll then get the chance to correct them. What can you expect from me? I just laid a whole bunch of heavy expectations on you. I better give you clear instructions for assignments. If you don't understand the assignment, ask me about it. And don't wait until the night before, right, to start doing these assignments. It's always kind of frustrating. I mean, it's my fault, but like if I make some horrible mistake in the instructions and then I don't hear about it until the day before the homework is due because nobody started it or somebody noticed it and they didn't let me know. Anyways, so if the instructions are not clear, ask me, and I will answer questions, whether you ask them in person, email, phone, or text. I'll give you feedback for work that needs to be corrected. I'll always give you a week's notice of due assignments and 2 weeks' notice of exams. There's a midterm and a final, so it'll be real easy to provide those 2 dates. And then post all assignments, notices, PowerPoints, and reading assignments on Canvas. And you'll be able to use all that stuff during the exam. You feel like downloading a PowerPoint or looking at your notes, it's totally cool. All right, academic dishonesty. Don't cheat. How do you cheat in a class? You share your programs, or 2 people sit down and you work on the program, you know, at the same time. Unfortunately, you need to do your own work. Why do I use the word unfortunately? You just got to do your own work, right? And if y'all were sitting paired up, then I would be encouraging people to, to help each other in class. Because if I'm wandering around the class and all that's missing is a semicolon and you notice and you can correct, then it'd be nice if you did that, but y'all aren't sitting next to each other. But when people are doing that, it sets up the expectation that, oh, this is my programming buddy, and we can work on stuff at home together. No, you need to do your own work. The absolute most that you should allow anybody else to ever do is to look at your code and point to the screen to make suggestions. Don't let anybody else write your code. Here's something that'll happen or has happened in the past that really upsets people. Like, what if I can't write the program? And so I come up and I give them a story. I say, I just can't get the program to work. There's just one part that's not working. Can I see your code? Oh, could you email it to me? I'll just fix that one part. And you're being nice. She gives me the work, and then I submit it as my own work. And then she gets a 0 on it in an academic write-up. No, don't ask to look at anybody else's code. And if somebody asks you, don't let them. All right, so that's cheating. How else could you cheat? You could Google up, like, what if I asked you to write a program that would calculate pi? Java, calculate pi to n digits. Say I had a homework assignment where you were supposed to calculate pi. Well, in my homework assignment, I would give you the specification of the formula that does it. I would expect you to write your program to that specification. What I would not want you to do is to Google it up, go, oh, well, this looks like it'll work. Copy, paste, submit. No, I'll be able to tell that you did not do your own work. And it'll be a big problem. So what'll happen is you'll get a 0 on the assignment, and then I'll fill out the paperwork saying, the academic dishonesty occurred. It'll go to the dean, and it'll go down to the Office of Academic Affairs. And so, you could conceivably even be dropped from a class. It's just like cheating on a term paper. You got to do your own work. Now that I've done all that lecturing, I'm not expecting it to be a problem. And that's why I'm very emphatic about it, is because almost every semester it happens at least once. The last way you could cheat is on an exam. I've had people do this. It's really annoying. 2 people pop open Google and start emailing pop open their email program and start trading messages to each other. I don't know why people think that would be a cool idea, but I don't want to have to wander around looking at everybody's screen, making sure you're not cheating. So I'm just going to trust y'all on it. Don't do that, okay? Don't make me patrol the class like a prison guard, right? This isn't Orange is the New Black. I shouldn't be having to be making sure you're not emailing each other. I guess we could install the software that would let me see on my screen. I should probably tell people that we have that software. We don't. Okay. So the Student Success Center, you can go to the Student Success Center and get study skills workshops, learning assessments, career help, stuff like that. We do have the bookstore. There's 2 ways of getting book information. We need to just about be done, don't we? If you click on Canvas and see the scene that says Follett Discover, you go to the company that owns our bookstore. You can log in as a student and find out what books are necessary for each class. You can also go to the Student Union Bookstore website, which I always get to just by typing Rose Bookstore, right, in Google and taking the top one. But I was having problems accessing that a couple of days ago, where you just walk down there, right? Any way you want to. We are about done. The Student Handbook is well worth looking at, but it's incredibly long. But you might at least want to look at it. It talks about things like AWs. You can get withdrawn from a class, or you will get withdrawn from a class if you don't attend to it, in the first week or so. It gets permanent mark on your transcript. And then the supplemental syllabus. And I'm sorry, but since I used up your time programming, we're going to leave the supplemental syllabus for the next lecture. It's not that it's not important, it's just that we ran out of time, and I want to give it justice. But it also talks about academic dishonesty. It talks about like sexual harassment and counseling services and things like that. So it's important stuff. So we will cover it on Thursday at the beginning of class. There's no assignment for Dropbox for the homework. It'll be there by the end of tonight. All it is to install Java and NetBeans. Take a screenshot of it. I'll be very specific in the folder of those requirements. And if you decide you're not going to do that, instead just upload a note saying, I'm going to do my work at school, or however you're going to do it. That makes sense, gang? All righty. Are there any questions? The video will be uploaded to YouTube, so by tomorrow you'll see a playlist link in our modules. You can go and look at the video for any day that you miss. Now, probably didn't give you enough time to actually type in the program. So if you want to, I'll bring it back or print it out for you, but you don't have to upload it. Just taking a screenshot would be fine. All righty. Well, class dismissed. I hope you all are excited. Hope you find this interesting.
I do have an error. I did get it all down. I just have an error.
Oh, let me look. Let me stop the recording first, and then I'll take a look.